Mr. Robot has overall 45 episodes in the whole series, and I will make a tier list to rate each episode F as the worst episode to S as the best episode. I will go through every episode really quick and explain why was that episode good or bad. Season 1. Episode 1. First episode of the whole TV show. Great episode, starting an episode with Elliot hacking a pedophile, which gave us the introduction to his journey, later joining group aiming to take down a corrupt conglomerate. I will give this episode as an A tier. Episode 2. In this episode, Elliot is offered a new job. He worries about Shayla's association with Fernando Vera, and Mr. Robot prompts Elliot to talk about his father. It's a good episode. I would put it in the B tier. Episode 3. This episode wasn't great, but it was interesting. Terrell prepares for a meeting at E-Corp, only to be rejected because Philip Price found another candidate. Later, Elliot is invited by Gideon to a dinner party, but he declines. However, he later asks Shayla to go with him as his girlfriend. Since this episode wasn't all that, I would put it in the C tier. Episode 4. Elliot was experiencing hallucinations about his life for almost the whole episode. I would give it a light C tier. Episode 5. This episode was actually interesting. F Society was attempting to penetrate Steel Mountain, the most secure data facility in America. I would give it a light B tier. Episode 6. This episode was insane. Elliot attempts to hack Vera out of jail to save someone he cares about, but in the end, Vera ends up killing that person. One of the best episodes in Season 1. Easily A tier. Episode 7. This episode was pretty average. Elliot already misses Shayla. Angela makes a deal with Colby, and Sharon Knowles has an encounter with Tyrell. Light B tier. Episode 8. The best rated episode in Season 1. Allsafe is hacked, and Elliot meets White Rose for the first time. He realizes that Darlene is his sister, but he has no recollection of her. Additionally, he finds a CD containing old family photos, revealing that Mr. Robot is his father. I would give it a strong A tier. Episode 9. Elliot faced the challenges of his past, and he realized that he is a Mr. Robot. Again, strong A tier. Episode 10. A good episode to end Season 1. Another huge discovery for Elliot regarding his family and F Society. One of Elliot's past hacks comes back to haunt him, and Mr. Robot and Terrell are missing, giving this episode a B tier. Season 2. Episode 1. First episode of this season is not that big. Elliot keeps seeing his psychologist, Krista. Gideon pays a visit to Elliot complaining he's been targeted for a crime Elliot might have committed. I would give it a light B tier. Episode 2. Same as first episode. Nothing big. 5-9 has changed the world, and Elliot is away from people, and Angela finds happiness at Evil Corp. Giving this episode a B tier. Episode 3. Elliot is determined to outsmart Mr. Robot, and Angela gains insight into E-Corp's inner workings, while F Society creates chaos. This episode is also a B tier. Episode 4. Elliot friends Ray, hopes he can help finally delete Mr. Robot. Darlene wonders who's the bigger threat, FBI or Dark Army. And again, B tier. Episode 5. Elliot continues to hack the FBI from Ray's office. Darlene visits Angela, telling her that they must help Elliot. She wants her help in wiping the FBI's records, connecting her to the Allsafe CD, but she refuses to get involved. Very good episode, giving it an A tier. Episode 6. Elliot experiences a twisted 1980s sitcom version of a family road trip with Tyrell locked in the trunk. Mr. Robot taking Elliot to a happy place, where he doesn't have to feel the pain of the beating by creating the world of a 1980s family sitcom. Pretty good episode, giving it an A tier. Episode 7. In this episode, Mr. Robot and Elliot are trying to keep a peace together. Dominique learns Angela's history and is suspicious when the FBI is hacked. Angela confronts Darlene about her and Elliot creating F Society after remembering the masks originate from a movie they watched many times as kids. Strong A tier. Episode 8. The new F Society leak puts pressure on Dom to handle the FBI's response. Angela stands by her career decision, and Darlene feels her trust circle shrinking. Good B tier. Episode 9. Elliot and Darlene are uncertain about the Dark Army's stance and are on a quest for answers, giving this episode a B tier. Episode 10. Such a great episode. Elliot questions Mr. Robot's honesty, while Darlene strives to make right choices. Meanwhile, Dom and the FBI draw nearer to the truth. Strong A tier. Episode 11. Pretty average episode. Angela is taken to a dark room where she undergoes a bizarre test and meets a mysterious kid. I'm giving this episode a B tier. Episode 12. Elliot doubts reality upon discovering Mr. Robot is lying to him and tries to stop Stage 2. Also, Darlene faces FBI interrogation. Great episode to finish this season. Strong B tier. Season 3. Episode 1. Elliot wakes up after Tyrell shot him and teams up with Darlene to stop Stage 2. They're caught by the Dark Army and meet Irving. Elliot refuses to restart Stage 2 and asks Angela for a job at E-Corp. Very good first episode of the season, giving it a B tier. Episode 2. Elliot becomes encouraged to trying to undo 5-9. Not much to talk about this episode, but it was a great episode, giving it an A tier. Episode 3. Shortly after 5-9, Tyrell is taken to a safe house by Irving, where he stays working on Stage 2 for months, giving this episode a B tier. Episode 4. Darlene and Elliot make a pact to protect one another, and she catches Mr. Robot meeting up with Angela. When Elliot wakes up at an inopportune time, Angela has to knock him out to bring Mr. Robot back. Not a special episode. I'm giving it a C tier. Episode 5. This episode was something else. Elliot tries to piece everything together and stop Stage 2 as chaos quickly unfolds at E-Corp, and Angela tries to do a job intended for Elliot while avoiding imminent threats. Best episode so far, giving it a S tier. Episode 6. Elliot and Mr. Robot fight for control as Elliot desperately tries to stop Stage 2 while Angela believes everyone will be okay. This episode was also excellent, giving it a S tier. Episode 7. Leon takes care of Trenton and Mobley. Mr. Robot searches desperately for answers, and Price insists on an explanation from White Rose. Pretty good episode, B tier. Episode 8. Elliot nearly loses all hope after the recent tragedy, but ends up having to take Trenton's brother to the movies. Elliot receives an important email. In a flashback, a young Elliot refuses to forgive his father. This episode is going in A tier. Episode 9. Elliot proposes Stage 3 to the Dark Army as a ruse to gain access to their network, and learns that the Dark Army owns the FBI. Pretty good episode, giving it a B tier. Episode 10. Excellent episode to finish this season. Elliot tries to rescue Darlene, but things don't go as planned, and Mr. Robot must decide whether to step up or step back. Elliot integrates with Mr. Robot so they can save Darlene and reverse 5-9, giving this episode a S tier. Season 4. Episode 1. Strong first episode. During the Christmas season, Elliot and Mr. Robot make their return, and Angela gets killed by a group of Dark Army soldiers, giving it a strong A tier. Episode 2. Elliot and Darlene reconnect, and Dom finishes the interview. However, her lack of confidence arouses Janice's suspicion. Still a good episode, B tier. Episode 3. Elliot and Darlene argue, while Vera strategizes his next move. In flashbacks, some key moments in White Rose's life are revealed. Good episode, B tier. Episode 4. Tyrell, Elliot, and Mr. Robot go on a risky journey through the woods. Later, Tyrell Wellick is shot to death by a Dark Army operative. Sad episode, but it was good, giving it a B tier. Episode 5. This episode was so interesting. Elliot and Darlene infiltrate Virtual Realty, hack the servers, and disable security cameras. The security team calls the police, who chase Elliot through Central Park, and Darlene rescues Elliot. Such a good pacing episode, easily S tier. Episode 6. Elliot blackmails Olivia to make a crucial phone call. Dom faces difficulty when she's given a distressing order, and Vera extracts information from Krista. Really good episode, easily A tier. Episode 7. Probably the best episode in the whole show. Vera takes Krista as a hostage, attempting to making Elliot joining him by understanding Mr. Robot. In the process, Elliot uncovers an awful truth about his father. Easily S tier. Episode 8. Janice attempts to obtain Elliot's location from Dom and Darlene. Also, Elliot follows himself to the Queen's Museum, his younger self helping him pull out his thoughts and feelings. Pretty interesting episode, giving it an A tier. Episode 9. Mr. Robot and Darlene work to dismantle the Diaz Group, while Price confronts White Rose, who tries to manipulate Elliot. Meanwhile, Mr. Robot grapples with how to assist Elliot in rediscovering himself. Awesome episode and pretty interesting, giving it a light S tier. Episode 10. Nothing special happened in this episode. Darlene tries to persuade Dominique to run away from New York with her and Elliot to hide from the Dark Army, giving it an C tier. Episode 11. Elliot had enough and goes to the Washington Township power plant to meet White Rose. White Rose's men kill the FBI agents, and she triggers a meltdown before killing herself. Elliot tries to stop it but fails. In an alternate reality, Elliot is happy and engaged to Angela. Later, Elliot finds another version of himself at his computer. giving it a strong A tier. Episode 12. My favorite episode. Elliot finds himself in a suburb where his parents are alive and he wasn't abused. Darlene doesn't exist, and he's marrying Angela. He discovers sketches of his life in an alternate Elliot's apartment. After an earthquake injures the alternate Elliot, hearing Angela's voice, kills him to take his place. This episode was so interesting, giving it a S tier. Episode 13. Elliot hides the alternate Elliot's body and discovers there is no wedding. Mr. Robot reveals the world is an illusion trapping the real Elliot. In Krista's office, Elliot learns the mastermind created the illusion. He wakes up in the hospital with Darlene. Excellent conclusion to one of the best TV shows ever. Giving this episode S tier. I hope you all liked this video. This is my opinion on every episode of Mr. Robot. Thanks for watching.